So the other day I posted this video. And I got quite a few questions about the mic placement and overall mix of the drum sound, so I'm going to go ahead and break that down for you today. On the snare drum, I have a Shure SM7B. On the kick drum, I'm using a really old and beat up Sennheiser MD421. And acting as a close room microphone, I'm using a Rode K2. So this is a pretty lazy 3-mic setup, and the sound heavily relies on the processing I do within Ableton. Here's what the kit sounds like before and after I shape the sound using plugins. Okay, so here we are in Ableton, and I'm going to go ahead and break down each track for you one by one, starting with the Rode K2 that's acting as a close room mic on the drum kit. Here we go. Cut down some of the lows. Next thing we're going to do is add a Devil Lock by Soundtoys. Now you could tell already how much compression is happening with this Devil Lock, and I have the mix set about halfway too, so it's acting as a parallel compression. Glue compressor. And at the end I'm going to add a sidechain to the kick. You could hear that ducking going on. Nothing too crazy. This is the Rode K2 mic, and it's capturing kind of everything here, a little bit of the overtone from the kick drum, and this is going to be where the tom sound really comes in. So let's move on to the snare drum, the Shure SM7B mic. So this one's going to be a bit more intricate. Let's start with the EQ, and we're going to roll off these lows because we don't want the kick drum bleeding in too much. You could see a lot of the body of the snare lies here. So this next part is going to be a little bit more complicated because I'm actually triggering a snare sample here. Let me show you what it sounds like. So here's a snare sample. Right? And then I'm going to bring in a really crushed version of the snare. And that really helps bring out the ghost notes of the snare drum and kind of add some bite to that overall smack. And then here's just the dry tone. And as you could see here, I'm sort of blending them all together so I can get a sound such as this. And I guess the best way I could describe this is thinking of it as sort of like a sandwich of snares, and the crushed sound sounds great for that smack and the ghost note attack, and you blend it in with the snare sample because that gives you just a perfect sounding hit to really cut through the mix. And then you add in the dry sound, of course, as well. And then what I would do after is I add in some EQ. You could see I really love the sound of this EQ because I'm rolling off some of the lows here, and I'm also boosting at this frequency here, and it gives it like a really smooth texture to the sound. And of course at the end I'm just sidechaining it to the kick so that the overall kick sound can come through. So let's move on to the kick drum section. And what I'm actually doing here is using that MD421 mic just to capture the audio transit information and send it to my triggering software. I use Drumagogue, but there are actually newer software options available by Slate and Addictive Drums. And I just bought this like 7 years ago, so I might as well use it, right? So let me show you what I'm doing here. Some EQ, glue compression, the trigger. and I'm actually using a kick sample from my Tame Impala inspired drum pack. You could find a link to that in the description below if you're at all interested. So when you have transients that are this clean for a kick drum, it's kind of a lot easier just to trigger a sample, and it just makes the drum sound better overall. Because if you really want a great kick sound with a close microphone, you're going to have to do a lot of things, such as maybe taking off the front head, isolating the sound with sound blankets or something like that. And I'm kind of taking like a lazy approach and just using software to my advantage here. So with all of these techniques applied, here's the overall drum sound. And in context with the little song that I made here. Alright, I think that's pretty much it. I really hope this helped you, and if you guys want to see any other type of tutorials, if you guys have any ideas for more content, leave them in the comment section below. Thumbs up on the video, I'll make more. If you guys want more, just let me know. And we do it for showing off the sauce and everything that I learned over the last decade of making music. And yeah, your contributions help Zoe too, right Zoe? Peace everybody.